Hello, in this lecture we're going to be learning how to match a photo on our 3ds Max. So the first step that we need to take is to measure the height of our space that we've chosen. So for this I'll be using Photoshop. Now the first thing that we need to do is to create a new layer, and we can do that by going into the right bottom corner to this positive icon, and by clicking it once we're going to be creating a new layer. Let's rename it, so I'm going to double click it and I'm just going to rename it height. Now we need a reference in order to start measuring our height. And we have plenty of references here in our photo, like the chair here, the couches, or even this table. So we can look up the dimensions of each of these furnitures. In this case, I'm going to use my couch to start measuring the height. So I know that from the bottom to all the way to the top of the back element of my couch, we will have around 80 centimeters. You can take another reference if you wish and just look it up in the internet. For instance, we could also measure it with a chair, and I know that from the bottom to the seat, we'll probably have around 50 or 60 centimeters. Again, for this example, we'll be using the couch as reference for our height. Now to start drawing here in Photoshop, I'll be using my brush tool. And you can go into the left side here in the bar where it says brush tool, or we could just press the B key. Now if you cannot see the brush, that's because you have your caps on. So if we turn them off, you will see that you'll be able to make this brush visible. Now to scale my brush, I only need to press and hold my Alt key plus my right click. So if I drag it to the right, I'll make it bigger, and if I drag it to the left, I'll make it smaller. Now to zoom in into one of the objects here, I only need to again press and hold my Alt key and just scroll in. Okay, now I want to take the reference from the top here all the way to the bottom. So for this, I'm going to draw a vertical line. So starting here from the bottom all the way to the top. So by holding Shift, just like in 3ds Max, I can click it once here at the top and I'll make a straight vertical line. Okay, I will also need a reference up here and a reference at the bottom here. And this, I know that it has around 80 centimeters. Now the second step is that we need to duplicate this vertical reference line all the way to the ceiling up here. But how do I know when I get to the top from this specific point? For this, we're going to be needing another reference. And we're going to be using the guidelines that Photoshop has. So we have the one up here, and I also have a ruler at the left side. And if you can't see them, you can call them in by pressing Ctrl plus the R key. So you can toggle it like so. Now let's drag a guideline from the top. So I only need to click and drag all the way until my reference point, like so. Now I will also need a vertical guideline from the left here, and I'm going to drag it all the way until I meet up with the wall here. So if you look closely, we know that the wall is around this point because obviously we have this furniture down here. But if the furniture wasn't there, I would know that the point from where my floor meets my wall here, it's going to be roughly at this point. Now keep in mind that this doesn't have to be precise. We're going to be getting an approximate value for our height. And now what I need to do is just to drag another guideline from the top here and place it where my wall meets my ceiling. So I now know that I have to duplicate this guide that we've created until we reach this point over here. So this is going to be the ceiling, or the very top, starting from the bottom point down here. So now how do we duplicate this measurement? We'll have to pick the Move tool that you can also access by pressing the V key, and then by holding the Alt key, just like in 3ds Max, pressing and holding our Alt key, and while pressing Shift, I can also keep it straight in my vertical axis. Now what I need to do is just to move in closer and move it until it meets with this reference bottom line. I can also move it with my arrow keys just to be a bit more precise. And now that I've created two of these, I can select with my Shift key another layer, which is the bottom one. So you can see that I've created a height copy when I duplicated this. And now by grabbing both of